So within the mediastinum, the heart is separated from nearby structures like the lungs by a tough membrane that's called the pericardium, also known as the pericardial sac. The pericardium or pericardial sac is double-walled, so that is, there are two layers to the pericardium. So we see that the two layers of the pericardium are the fibrous pericardium and the serous pericardium. The superficial layer, which is the fibrous pericardium, is tough and contains abundant, strong connective tissue fibers. This layer helps to prevent the heart from overfilling. It protects the heart in general, and it also anchors the heart to nearby structures. The serous pericardium is a deep layer. We see that it is folded in on itself. The serous pericardium is a delicate membrane that creates a fluid called serous fluid. One part of the serous pericardium attaches to the fibrous pericardium, that is just deep to the fibrous pericardium. This layer is referred to as the parietal layer of the serous pericardium. The other part of the serous pericardium rests directly on the heart muscle tissue, and this layer is called the visceral layer of the serous pericardium, or more simply, it's called the epicardium. This folding of the pericardium creates a fluid-filled space. The pericardial cavity that is created by the parietal and visceral layers of the serous pericardium is filled with a fluid called serous fluid and functions to reduce friction of the heart as the heart beats. So here we see the pericardial sac, or the pericardium, in a dissected fetal pig. Pericarditis is an inflammation of the pericardium, usually due to an infection. The inflammation tends to roughen the surface of the serous pericardium, which causes the heart to creak when it rubs against the rough surfaces. This also causes pain deep to the sternum. So if pericarditis is severe enough, excess fluids can accumulate in the pericardial cavity, which is typically referred to as effusion. This excess fluid accumulation can lead to a condition called cardiac tamponade, where the excess fluid that's within the pericardial sac, or the pericardial membranes, actually compresses the heart and limits the heart's ability to fill with blood and also to pump blood. So turning our attention to the heart wall, we see three layers. The first is the epicardium, which we just reviewed in the previous segment, the myocardium, and the endocardium. So let's focus on the myocardium for a moment. So the myocardium forms the bulk of the heart wall. It is composed primarily of cardiac muscle cells, but there are also some elastic connective tissue fibers as well as collagen fibers in it. The elastic and collagen fibers anchor the cardiac muscle cells. The elastic and collagen fibers are also collectively referred to as the cardiac skeleton because they support the cardiac muscle cells, the great vessels like the aorta and the vena cava, as well as the valves that are found between the atria and the ventricles of the heart and the ventricles and the great vessels of the heart. And finally, we have the endocardium, which is a tissue that is a squamous epithelium that's resting on a connective tissue. And we see that the endocardium is continuous with the inner epithelial lining, or what's known as the endothelium, of the blood vessels.